Don't know how to kick this one off. We just dive in.
Yeah, it's kind of a thing you gotta just dive in. Welcome back to the Gentleman's Sitdown. We are an untraditional podcast.
Trying to be traditional gentlemen.
I am Satirius D. Lemitius.
And I'm Joshua J. Callahan. What are we talking about today? Wait, what do you want to do? The links and descriptions and ding a bell comments?
Yeah, before we start today, there's links in the description for our social medias. If you like the video, at the end of the video, leave a like on the video. Leave a comment on the video.
That's what people do.
Yeah. If you really like us, subscribe. Hit the ding, the notification bell, ding a bell, Stuff like that.
How about subscribe, then make a decision after you see one or two episodes? Because, not all episodes are the same.
Yeah, they're not.
Ipso facto, this one's going to be completely different from anything we've done in the past. And things in the past are completely different from things that we've done in the future of the past.
Yeah, there's a future, yeah.
We never really land right on topical events. We usually, it might be like a holiday on the calendar. We'll talk about it. We'll, the relative season. We'll talk about what we think, a holiday or whatever. This one, it affects a lot of people, and the ripple effects keep on, going. People make choices in history and in current, events. And gentlemen have to react to them. We sit down and we talk elsewhere. It's how this podcast started. We just like talking about stuff, and we found ourselves talking about certain topics. And I was like, hey, do we put it on the channel? Do we put it on our thing? Do we put it on a,
Yeah.
And we landed on yes, maybe we should. So we're going to talk about it.
We're going to talk about it. We're not going to act like we're experts. We're not.
We never said we were experts. Did you say you were an expert in something?
No, never.
Yeah, I didn't say that.
Yeah. We're not going to act like experts. We're not going to act like our opinion matters more. We're just going to give our perspective on the circumstance, because ultimately, I think we could both say ultimately we don't agree on how it ended. Right?
No, we haven't said it yet. We're talking about, what are we talking about? Roe v. Wade here, the abortion rights.
We're talking about how the
recent events, Supreme Court.
Yeah, we're talking about how the Supreme Court ruled abortions unconstitutional.
And it's a state issue.
And it's a state issue. So depending on what state you live in is pretty much the state decides.
The United States, but
Yeah.
we're just, hey, that's a different topic for a different issue.
Different day, yeah. But we felt like we wanted to talk about it because we have a lot of friends that are women. We have a lot of family, of course, that are women. And we just don't like the I'll speak for myself. I won't speak for you. But we don't like I don't like the idea that somebody else is telling a woman what to do with their body. I think it doesn't make sense. I know there's religious beliefs, allegedly, that are surrounded by the decision.
I've felt many different ways about this subject. Part of me feels, who are you? Who am I? Who are you to talk about it? Well, I'm a member of the human race, and we're still racing all together to some kind of ends of a mean. What is this experiment we call life? We have to interact with each other. Sometimes we form governments to help protect and guide and develop a civilization. And here we are, in ours, the US of A. We have a government formed not too long ago to protect freedom of, what was it? They get away so they can live their own life without some empirical king. But yet we keep on stepping in this issue where in order to protect the rights, you have to take rights away from some other people. Like, no, how about we protect the rights of each individual, here we are in the United States of America, still making decisions against more than half a population. A lot of people have to make hard choices in their life, right? And they want the freedom to make those choices. Hard ones, easy ones, and everything in the middle. And who are you? Who's anybody? Tell me, no, you can't. Because it affects you, or because it affects me, or because it affects something else. It's my decision. And I believe that for everyone. Now, I didn't want to bring this term into it. It's like pro-choice, pro-life, all this stuff. Labels. Listen. you label something because it's easier to talk about, I guess.
Yeah.
But it brings a negative and positive connotation and denotation to it. So I think, though abortion is a horrible, bad thing, because it involves, oh my gosh, it involves the termination of something in a human. But, and I wouldn't want that for any of my, if I'm blessed to have daughters, I don't have sisters, but I have, like you said, I have family and friends, because here we are living our lives with women, and it affects the human race. So we should all be able to talk about it, but though there is a person that has to make a choice. And they never want to make a choice. This choice, whether positive or negative, nobody wants to make it. But when people have to make it, they should be able to have the right to make it. That's what I feel. And I feel like my maybe religious or spiritual beliefs about it shouldn't be imposed on somebody else. Has to make that decision somewhere else. I feel that way about gay marriage, all human rights. You don't want to be married to someone of the same sex? Don't do it. You don't do it. You don't have to do it. Does it mean I can't have the right to do it? The argument lives within that kind of discussion too.
Yeah. I just put myself, I try to put myself, obviously I can never be in the shoes of a woman making the decision of an abortion. It's a very one-sided kind of experience. Like if I was the man involved in the situation, I could only watch. I could voice my opinion, but the woman's ultimately going to do what she thinks is best, which is either keep the baby or not, right? Which, that's a discussion on its own. Like let's say I was a man who, okay, an accident happened, but I was open to the idea of being a father, and the woman is like, I'm not ready. I'm not going to put my body through that. So she decided to do an abortion. That's a different kind of discussion. The fact that the right is taken away completely, though, is selfish to me, because I try to put myself in their shoes from my perspective. That's like somebody governing me saying, "Oh, you're not allowed to ejaculate." Like that's kind of how I equate it. Like you as a man is no longer allowed to
waste your sperm. You can't masturbate.
Yeah.
You can't. Don't waste that. That's a product of life. That's a part of life.
Yeah, exactly. And I was like, well, how could I fucking do that? Sometimes it happens without me even controlling it. It's called a wet dream. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just you can't. It doesn't seem right to me. How could you tell me what to do with my body when it's my body? And I know a lot of it has to do with religious beliefs, but I also remember that this country was founded off of the idea of separation between state and religion, right? So I don't understand why religious beliefs are becoming involved with constitutional rights.
And I believe it's really problematic, the amount of men making a decision that affects most women.
Exactly.
And,
that's another weird issue.
And it's the same thing we were just talking about, because I use that example a lot, like you said about the sperm and everything. So, oh, well, why don't we go further? Life begins at conception. Why doesn't it begin at the egg and the feet? I mean, look, sperm looks like tadpoles. They're alive. They're making loads of decisions and doing stuff instinctually. I've seen the footage.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what if then someone were to decide to them that life starts there?
Yeah,
you know, and life starts with the eggs. Don't waste those eggs. But
Exactly.
you know what I'm saying? Like, it's natural progress. It's just natural. It's hard. Not that it's hard to govern it. It should always be protected, the choices and the freedoms to navigate your own health, life, and existence. You know? Then people want to put the existence of something else, whether it be the life forming inside there, beginning to form inside, but they don't take that care, this life care on things, other opportunities. So it's uneven. It's like, you can say that about that because of what? It affects the species, but then what? You know, the way we treat animals that we're supposed to protect, the way we treat humans who are outside the womb and are babies, teenagers, mental health, and it goes on to, like, you know, the death penalty and when they're old, and how do we take care of life when we're outside the womb? No, they want to stop talking about it. The attitude of a guy to decide something, to take a choice away from somebody else, take their free will away, is what's at stake. And if all people don't speak up about it, then free will be more easily governed. And then we're back to some kind of empirical rule or something where people are telling us what to do at all times. And it affects all human rights.
I just don't understand why it's so important to them, on why it needs to be unconstitutional.
It's not about love and protecting life. It's about control. I think they want control.
Exactly. Like what do you
Patriarchs.
what's the point of it? How does this affect the state? How does it affect politics? How does it affect country? You know, it doesn't.
It's propagating the species is what they think. They think it's about the women have this unique part to play in life, you know, and men aren't specifically a part of that process. So maybe there's some form of jealousy from guys who want to make that decision. You know, the patriarchs who run religion, who get to decide what people believe in, and the people who run governments. You know, I know there's a lot of women who side with them too. You know, with the side of, like, governing the right to choose, and
but there's, like, men participate in that. Yes, we don't carry the baby. Yes, we don't give birth to the baby, but we're still, like, you're the father.
Contributors. Yeah, we're all a human race.
You're the father. No,
Yeah.
but when you're the father, like, you're there. There's instincts that happen. Like, yes, maternal instincts kick in. Men's paternal instincts kicked in. Like, you care about the child. You try to raise the child. Like, there's different things going on. Motherhood is different from fatherhood, but they're both equally essential, if you ask me. I mean, it's proven time and time again. I mean, a kid that is raised with just a father or just a mother, there are some side effects from that. When the child is raised by both parents, there's the child usually has a easier balance to life, an easier balance to themselves and their personality, because both parents are needed. So I don't understand why there would be a jealousy towards women and their maternity and all that.
You posed the question that
Right.
I think beyond just an answer. Like, I'm not trying to simplify it.
Of course.
I'm just saying, like, you know, why would they don't feel like a part of that unique opportunity that is a woman who, you know, has that unique process
Of bearing the child.
Of bearing the child, right? Unique to how men handle that and are participating in that. You know, then you get into decisions like, you know, we're not even talking about parenting and stuff. There's many different ways to parent. There's many that are both positive, negative, and everything in between.
Yeah.
But it's a discussion about some few people deciding rights of many. That becomes problematic. And we're supposed to have a series of checks and balances.
Yes.
So no one group can decide ultimately for everyone's state issues. Like now it's illegal to have it. Period. Well, it's illegal. The states have to decide how they're going to navigate it. Yeah. But right now it's not a constitutional right.
Right.
It's not a constitutional right. Before it was a constitutional right. And then the questions posed many years ago, since 1973, when Roe v. Wade actually passed, whatever, they didn't codify that right. They didn't strengthen it and bolster it up. It was always a debatable thing that happened in the past years, back and forth. But even when we had, more kind of liberal-minded people to help make decisions, they didn't codify it, strengthen it. And say it is a constitutional right for a woman to make a choice, to have say, to have an abortion is a human right.
It's just crazy to me how backwards it feels like we went because of that.
Yeah,
like it doesn't make sense to me. Like how do you have
it's the nature of these times that we live in right now. People want to. It's a feeling of we're so bipolar society. Like we believe many different things and a lot of people are fighting with each other. So when other things come into the mix, people want to burn everything down, it seems. They want to tear things down in order to build it back up because they're just so angry. They're so mad about stuff. And it just feels like that's, history repeats itself. Yes. We hope we learn from the past. Yes. But you'd think that we would grow and get better and stronger. And everybody says, well, we will. We'll make hard decisions, take things away, and change things up because we don't like it. And then it will strengthen the reasons why we should have it in the first place. So in other words, people are saying that women now it embolden them to be stronger about it. That is one way to get results, tear it down, build it up, or protect and strengthen and grow from what we have on top of. There's many different ways to do it. There's less destructive ways to make things better than taking things away and now fight in Thunderdome, fight, and we'll see what happens. And it's few people taking things away to say fight and then work at it. I just think it's stupid.
It doesn't make sense to me as a man to take that right, to make that unconstitutional. Like as a man, it doesn't make sense to me. Like there's clear benefits on why women should have the right. And it's a benefit to human society for women to have the right. In my perspective, from my opinion, there's benefits to it. Like you can't force someone who's not ready to have a kid, make them have a kid. You can't force someone who went through a traumatic experience and force them to bear the child of that traumatic experience. We all know what I'm talking about here. Okay? Like I would not, if my daughter was ever in a horrible experience like that, or my sister or my mom or whoever, and they had to be forced to bear the child of that horrible experience, I would be even more pissed off about the whole situation.
Okay, and that's happened to a lot of people right now. That's because now they can't. So what you learn is to always have the conversation. Don't be afraid of the conversation.
Yes. I mean, this is why we want to talk about it, because,
people are still going to ask you as a father, brother, son, uncle, cousin. They're still going to come to you, friend. They're going to come to you and ask you what you think. You're not deciding, but they're asking you what you think. Speak to it.
Yeah.
Speak to it, please.
There's perspectives.
Yeah.
We're the human race. I mean, that's how I like to view things.
But it's
You view things as well that way. We're the human race.
But some
we're
people
all
have to make
involved.
the choice. Yeah.
Yeah, we're all involved. And a decision like this makes me feel like you're kind of trying to exclude a portion of the human race doing what they do in the human race. I don't know if that makes sense, but
I understand.
Yeah,
it
like the
makes sense.
process of the human race. Like in this upward momentum we're trying to go to. We're trying to move forward. We're trying to evolve. We're trying to better ourselves, right? Okay, like a lot of times people look at this old way of living and they think that was the glory days. That was the best way to live. And it's like, what are you talking about? You didn't live during those times. You don't like you don't think about how reckless it was and how horrible it could have been.
People don't care about history or the past anymore. They don't want to look
No.
back. They're afraid of it. They just only want to look forward. And it's like, well, you're going to step in the
they-
same piece of
exactly-
shit that was
exactly.
there 2 years ago.
Exactly. They look at history with the glasses on of today. That's what I always say to people. When people, most of the time when I talk to people who don't really study history, they just look at history. They look at events. Oh, I see. They could tell
How
you.
does it relate to me?
Like they could
So
look at
selfish.
dates and stuff like, oh, this date and this time and all this, blah 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 blah. Like they could recite stuff like that and act like, oh, they know history. No, they know events. They've looked at events, but they've never studied the events. They never really went into what it was like back then to have
Context.
yeah, exactly. Context to have to why things were the way they were and why they shouldn't be the way they are now. Like that's the thing. They're wearing their glasses and they're like, well, this happened in history and it was glorious. Imagine if that was on today. Wow. And it's like you're looking at it through a modern perspective. Also, you have hindsight. So you have this false pretext in your head, I guess, that this old thing, if it was here now, would make things better. You're wrong. That's not always the case.
Yeah, Jurassic Park has proven that. You don't bring dinosaurs that extinct back into modern. Come on.
Yeah, it's true. Add a little humor in there, lighten up the mood a bit,
That's
But it's true.
That's the discussion that movie's
facts.
trying to have.
It's some facts. But I don't know. That's how I see it. It's like I don't understand how this benefits our society at all. I don't see it. People like I've heard the arguments, well, people don't value a family anymore. It's like, what are you talking about? People don't value family anymore. People
Sometimes they have to make those decisions for their family.
Yeah,
what are you talking about?
Like they're it's not that they don't value family anymore. So what? People are waiting to get older to have family. The traditional get married, have kids. The evidence was already there. Divorce rate was dropping. Okay, I mean, sorry, not dropping. It was skyrocketing because people were still getting married way too young or right out of high school in this modern era where we are figuring out issues, mental issues, and all that stuff. Like we're going through a lot of the major reasons, right? Society freed women in a lot of ways. There's still work to be done, of course. There's still progress that needs to be made. Women need a little more. All right. We know the reasons why. I mean, this is a big reason why, So you can't function like we're in the 50s, okay? That's how I feel. It's like
they're making decisions like it's in the 70s and
like
60s.
they're trying to function everything like it's the 50s. Okay. Oh, when I hear people make the argument, oh, we need the family life back. We need to get married and have kids young. It's like, yeah, that you only read. You know why that worked? Because women they didn't have the opportunity to be fully educated. One, women didn't really drive back then because it was like only men were allowed to have their licenses. So the women didn't have a lot of freedom. Women didn't really have jobs to make money because men all had jobs. So they had to be reliant on a man because that's how they structured society back then.
The patriarch forced it that way, and then here they are forcing it again.
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly.
So understand, you're unpacking a lot right now.
I know I am. But I'm just saying to why my opinion is chill out like, chill out. What I mean is,
Relax.
what's going on? Why are we going in this
Take a step back.
backwards ass direction when we've already gone so far? It just doesn't make any sense for it to be unconstitutional. That's my little beef here, and I guess I got a little passionate, and I was throwing XYZ reasons why I have my opinion.
Yeah, you're creating your thesis.
Yeah.
It's all right.
So yeah, I went a little bit on a tangent there, I guess.
Not a tangent. It's, if someone throws a big stone in a pond of life, there's ripples, right? These are some of the ripples you're going through. It has a ripple effect on everything. So, we get together as family. You get together as family, and you probably shouldn't be talking about this. But guess what? Tough. People are going to come up to you and ask you, to have these tough conversations. And yeah, you may just want to be with the family, have a barbecue, and have a nice time. Well, it is nice to help somebody who wants to talk to you about something that is important because they don't know how to navigate something on their own. So they may speak to it. Or you may have people come have a question about these things that are affecting people that they know. How are you handling it? I'm handling it by being this. Open. Being open about it. Open to converse, to talk. Understand it is an issue that's rife with a lot of adjectives, a lot of things that will make you feel a certain way, that will make you feel bad. You don't want to have to make a decision about something, but sometimes life forces you to have to make certain decisions, and you should have the right to make those decisions, whatever they are. We always say then the people who oppose the right to make a choice or to have that choice will say, well, then let's loose the floodgates of deciding everything. Relax with that talk. We're talking about a specific thing. You're taking a human right away from someone to protect, handle, and navigate the decisions that affect their body primarily. That's what it's about. You can ask me how I believe, what I believe, and choice. I just believe that free will is up to the person who has to make the choices with their free will. And we shouldn't be governing against that and taking things away. So that's what has happened in the country we live in, and it has a ripple effect. Somebody dropped a big stone into our pond, and now there's ripple effects. There's prices to pay. There's things that happen. So we have to make sure we're aware now. We have to be more aware.
We're kind of in a lucky situation because we live in a state with a governor who's very pro, I'm not going to change anything from what we had before. We're going to leave everything the same. That's
why I moved to this area for my human rights.
He pretty much said,
sad,
we're going to act like it's still a constitutional right, even though it technically isn't anymore.
Yeah. It's sad that you have to then nomadically move someplace where it's better for you. And when we're trying to create a society for everyone, we're supposed to be united in certain things. And that's the problem when you cross state lines and borders. Like, oh, what's going to happen now? How does it change my life? Because I crossed some imaginary border into another state and like, what's going to happen? I think about that a lot because I travel a lot. I think about that when I go to other countries and I have to navigate who I am and be careful about a lot of things that I say and do. We should do that, and we should have respect every time we're going to somebody else's home, right? Yeah. But when you could lose civil liberties and rights because of it, it's a different thing.
Yeah,
it's a different thing.
Yeah, you can't just like. To me, it just feels like it's a negative.
It's a
black
backwards
hole. And I don't mean to we try to make this channel like it's more fun loving. We try to keep it lighthearted. We try to be funny, but there's just things we knew eventually we were going to start talking about things that aren't going to be the easiest to talk about. But that's why I wanted to just rip the Band-Aid off. And this was an issue that bothered me because, like I've said multiple times already, I don't see how it benefits the society at all. So why was it even a discussion in the first place?
I want to talk about it because ultimately it's a human right and it's freedom of speech. We should learn how to, a lot of things that are tough to talk about are because we don't talk about them, period.
Yeah.
And we avoid a conversation, then we avoid a release of how it affects you, a person, whether it be this topic or something else that is taboo to talk about or whatever. You should still talk about it. Yeah. You have the freedom of speech. You have the free will to talk and have an opinion about something, and not be so judgy that when somebody says something the wrong way, when they're trying to figure out how to talk about something.
That's what I was going to say.
Just having the conversation protects you when you are talking with somebody else outside of your family or your nuclear family or your found family. When you go out in life, you should be able to stand tall and understand and respect a certain topic, but be able to speak to it or about it.
I with my friends and people who know me, I try to make it very clear, like, we shouldn't be afraid to talk about things because we're afraid to say the wrong thing. Like, no, you should sort of encourage yourself to say the wrong thing, in my opinion, because not in the wrong thing, like the wrong way, like to be malicious about it.
Not on purpose, not try to be funny about something.
Yeah,
but
like you're trying to say the wrong thing so that you're educated. It's not like you're trying like, oh, I'm looking for the wrong thing because I want to offend somebody, or I'm looking for the wrong thing to say because I want to start controversy or chaos. No, it's like you're not looking to say the wrong thing. You're just openly speaking, and you're letting yourself be okay when you say the wrong thing, if you even ever say the wrong thing. Because there's going to be people that are around you that are going to be like, okay, well, you shouldn't put it that way because this XYZ reasons on why that's wrong to say it that way. And it's like, okay, I'm open to hear what you have to say. I'm not going to, I'm not saying you have these conversations to change the way you speak because, the way you speak as a person is it's unique for every individual. So people are going to speak a certain way, and sometimes there's nothing you can do about it. But what I'm saying is, you're enlightening yourself on a topic, or you're making yourself more knowledgeable on a situation. And instead of you just sitting there with a dogmatic view of thinking one way, one time, or you're opening your mind, you're broadening your horizon. Okay? And you're not going to always be right. You're not. You're not going to always be right. You're not going to always say it the right way, even though you mean it in a nice way. Like, I like the idea of encouraging a conversation to happen with it also being open to someone learning, someone being unafraid to ask questions or to make statements. And you, as the person making the statements or asking the question, need to be open to when you make a misstep or when you have a misunderstanding, because that's the point of the conversation. It's not just to sit down and I'm going to argue. Blah, blah, blah. No, you're sitting there having a conversation. You're sitting there having a conversation to hear the other perspective, because you have yours and there's someone else with someone else's, and the only way people move forward, the only way this society moves forward is if there's a better understanding of everyone involved, not just you and your little group, or me and my little group, or him and his little group. There shouldn't be groups. We're beyond that, okay? In my opinion, maybe I'm too young, maybe I'm too naive, but I feel like the world, it's pretty obvious. We're more of a global society than ever before. There's no, I'm tired of having these conversations that divide us into groups. We're a substandard group. We're this group. We're that group. Like, why can't I just sit here and be like, that's a human, that's a human, that's a human, that's a human, bing, bang, boom. And all these humans, whether they're female or male or of this race or that race or of this sexual orientation or that sexual orientation, it doesn't matter. Ultimately, why can't we all have the same fucking rights, the same equal footing on the floor, and just let our personalities, our merit, and our ability to cognitively think and push ourselves to higher levels make ourselves who we are? Why do we have to create these margins? What? Because there's people out there that are insecure and they want to have that leverage over other people. Like, that's the only reason I could think of when a decision like this is made by Supreme Court people who seem to be very disconnected with the society they're trying to govern.
You're speaking of a utopian place where we're not at yet. That's what you do.
Yeah.
You're asking a lot of questions about things. Why haven't we got there yet? And the amount of history that we've had to live, and we're still not there because there are powers that be that want to hold on to their power, and they make decisions to protect that. Right? We know that exists. We know that exists. We know that people want to protect their way of living because when they live in the mountains, it's different from living in the plains. It's different from living by a river, living by an ocean. So they protect their families and live their lives a certain way. And what I feel United States of America was an idea proposed to protect those individuals, but as they unite together, we grow, and maybe there is an opportunity for that utopian place where we all have similar rights and we're all protected. Maybe that is like a North Star, we keep on saying, something that guides our decisions to this kind of global society you're talking about. Yeah. I just think, too, in addition to that you can't start a conversation with right or wrong. You always got to, the thing is, if you're willing to have a conversation instead of a dialogue or a preachy dialogue, is that you're open for a reaction. Yes. And that is the cycle of communication. You have an idea, you express it. That expression is received, and then a reaction comes, and then the circle continues again. And then in that circle, you may, either way, you're going to change because you have discussed it. Maybe you won't change your point of view. Maybe, and you shouldn't have to think that it is to prove something right or wrong. Yeah. But sometimes you can't help to think or to talk in a way where I've thought about this and this is my right, or this is the way I perceive it as being right. And this is what I think is wrong. We're human. We think in those absolutes sometimes. But having a conversation opens one up to change. So that's why people diatribe, because they don't want to change. They want to stand up and yell into the wind. And you shouldn't be yelled at. You shouldn't be told what to do. You should be saying, listen, I'm willing to have a conversation about it if you're willing to hear my point of view. Regardless what happens after that, we don't know. But let's talk. And I think it's an important issue to not be afraid of. There's a platform here, but with social media, it's allowed to be there are still rooms for reaction. You can still react to it in many different ways. Social media is trying to encourage that. Yeah, we're talking into microphones that go outward, but we're developing a conversation right here. We didn't pre-pack everything and think about everything that we're going to talk about. No. We just put into the air our reactions to this situation. Topic. This is what we do. This is what we have done and continue to do. Yeah. Regardless of what happens.
Because we have to talk about it. Like that's the I think that's our main objective with this project, the Gentleman's Sit Down. It's to be able to have open conversations and to be able to disagree on things and to speak. I'm not trying to demonize, the Supreme Court for the decision they made. I strongly disagree with it, obviously. I mean, it's very clear at this point in the video.
What, 6 people decided something that affects millions?
Yeah.
Who are you?
Yeah. And
ask yourself, who are you? You wear a cape and you're taking this thing, but you're past. Like, you have a responsibility to read it, to break it down and just shoot it out and then let the people deal with a decision you've made. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, it's just I strongly disagree with them, but I don't understand how I feel like their job is just, and maybe I don't understand. Maybe I'm naive, but I feel like from what I've
Oh, so
seen,
you say that a lot. Don't say that. You know you're not.
I'm just saying.
You're posing the question as an argument. You're not naive. I know what I'm talking about. But here we go.
No.
Go ahead. I'm not taking that from you.
I'm being
Go.
honest. I like maybe I don't understand their job, but to me, from my perspective, it seems like they're collecting up and they're just looking at fine print and they're reading. Oh well, it's written in a certain way that kind of makes it unconstitutional, so we're gonna make it unconstitutional. And they're
People
not.
do that to the
it's like-
Bible too. They want to
Yeah.
break it down and break it.
Yeah.
No, this preposition means this.
Yeah.
We've done it before.
Yeah,
Wait, who did I do that with?
Which is fine. Okay, yeah, your job is to look at the fine print and make a decision off that. But it doesn't occur in your head that the decision you make is it's gonna have a huge effect on how society is, how people's lives are gonna be run.
It's we the
Because of
people,
it.
not we the states.
Yeah,
so
it's-
it's like you should make a decision that protects the people, the rights of the people. That's where I land on.
That's
It's
the
like,
point of the point of your. That should be the point of the checks and balances. The point of you making the decisions
It's a
you make.
states
The work
issue.
that
It's
the
a
work
human
that you
issue.
have. Yeah, the work that you have. Like you're trying to protect the people here.
Now I'm riled up.
You're not just trying to protect the states, because the states are going to make decisions, and they might make decisions that aren't in the best interest of the people. It's in the best interest of themselves. I mean, that's very clear. That should be obvious. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. If you're that high up in this government of the United States, how the fuck are you not sitting there thinking, I have a responsibility to the people now instead of the states? Yes, I have to do what's right for the states. Yes, of course, but I have to think of the people too. And a decision like this, how the fuck does
happens
this
to a human
benefit the
person.
states? How does this benefit the states? That's my problem with the argument, with the decision, and why I would probably have to have a conversation with someone on the other side.
They get emboldened because they think the belief is they're protecting the life that is started, and and they go down, and it brings a whole different aspect to the conversation.
Yeah, I know. I know. I've heard that argument. I've heard that. Oh, well, if you're taking a life away, like you're taking a life away before it even has the chance to live its life. And I'm like, but you guys, do you guys understand that animals have abortions as well? It's like self-inflicted abortions. You know that, right? Like if animals are making decisions like that, why can't humans make decisions like that? Who are better educated, more intelligent, and would be more responsible with a decision like that, in my opinion. I'm not going to say every human's perfect. There's probably humans out there. You're probably thinking of the worst kinds of people out there. They're going out and they're being reckless and they're just having abortions left and right because they can. Maybe there is a woman out there like that. I doubt it, because I know that abortions are a pretty heavy. They're a pretty heavy thing it affects the body. From what I understand, it affects the body a lot. It's not like it's an easy process you go through and it's like, I could do it whenever I please. No, it's not how it works.
Women would die in childbearing, many years ago. We've been able to develop a society that protects those things from happening less and less, so we could protect the life of the mother.
Yes.
Who has the opportunity to keep the cradle of life going for the next opportunity. But they are the instrument of that. So they should have the say in that.
Yes.
Not somebody else saying, hey. I always feel
And I've heard I've heard
people who want to make decisions for other people, like it is comical. It's not funny because they're affecting the lives of people, but it's comical that they believe that they have that power to take the right away from someone.
Yeah, and I've heard some arguments that if a woman goes through a traumatic experience, okay, again, we know what I'm talking about. The individual who did that to the woman, if she has an abortion in some of these states that are trying to make it illegal, abortion illegal, okay? That individual who committed the crime can sue them for that if they choose to do it or something like that. Like, I heard this argument. Maybe I'm not saying it right, but I know that the guy who committed the horrible atrocity now has the right to make the person's life even worse by trying to get them into trouble, whether it be suing or jail time because they decided to abort a child that they didn't want to have, that was forced upon them. Like, again, it just makes me think, if I was the father or the brother or the son of this woman who has to go through that, the hell that I would want to raise because of that. It doesn't make any sense to me. And it just goes back to the same, I keep saying the same thing. I don't see how a decision like this benefits the society. And that's why we're giving the gentleman's perspective. We're giving the male perspective here. We're not speaking for women. We can't speak on the issue too much. There's a lot more that goes into the issue, okay, that women could explain a whole lot better than us, because it's they understand it. They have to go through it. It's their adversity. And now the adversity has become a much steeper mountain for them to climb. And I don't want to speak too much on it.
Yeah, you're saying a lot about it's,
because it's not my place to speak.
There's so many
more
aspects to it, and it's not to say it starts out when this happens as an adversity. It can be perceived as an adversity. Some people, it's very clear the decisions they have to make. Some people, it's not at all clear, and they should just have the right to make that choice. Yeah. That's what I believe. Yeah. And then so when someone comes up to me with the discussion about what about these rights being taken away, how does it affect, and how Supreme Court decided this? Well, that's where that is the lane I will stay in when I discuss it. I will talk about it to that extent. I think we haven't obviously covered it, but we've talked about it. Did you know Roe v. Wade was argued in 71, end of the year 71, argued again in the fall of 72, and decided in January 73. So it was a discussion that happened before it was even, it was argued. This time around, it seems like it's been many years people have been fighting it, but this time around, it was like a leaked memo that they were talking about. This is what's next on our agenda. The fact that it's been a propagandized thing is despicable, disgusting, because it's like these are people's rights, and it's existed. This precedent. So the courts, there's precedent for that, and the courts should accept that precedent, and they didn't. They took it away. Those 6 people decided no.
And that's what confuses me, because there should be a check and balance system. Who's putting them in check? Who's putting their decision in check?
People who. All right, and there's another argument it leads to, right? The people who voted for the people who decide them to get in these lifelong positions, right? So you have a vote for someone to be in a certain particular place where they can decide. And then when Congress blocks that for the people who've decided to put, say, Obama as president, and then blocked him from making a Supreme Court choice decision, which is his right. That is the right that people have spoken, that he is president. But no, fewer people stop him from being able to do that. So we don't have another checks and balances from a more liberal side, right? And then history goes forward, and somebody gets into office, and then one term gets to decide 3 people. Yeah. Are you freaking kidding me? And he had 2 in 8 terms to decide, 2, and had the opportunity for the 3rd. And they took that away from him. And then somebody comes along 3 and they tips the scales, right? Tips the scales. That's what happens. Tips the scales. The scales have been tipped. And it starts there, and this is a ripple effect of that. And then rights are taken away because a conservative few want to stifle the decision of many.
I just don't understand. Yeah. We can go on. This conversation can go on for a very long time.
Just to answer that particular question. That is an answer.
Yeah.
Not the. Oh, my Lord, I'm sweating here. I need to take a shower.
It's a tough episode. I'm sure I'm surprised. I would be surprised if we had a lot of people make it to the end, but it's a tough episode. But we wanted to talk. We felt like we had
scroll
to
back and you I don't know.
we felt like we had to talk about it. We felt like we had to say something because it upset us. And obviously, do your own research and speak to women. Women understand this issue the most. Speak to them. Listen to what they have to say, because I think women's voices on this issue need to be the loudest right now, because it affects them. It doesn't really affect us. Like, it affects us, but it doesn't affect us as much as it affects them. So hear them out. Listen to the reasons. I've spoken to a lot of women. They speak about things that, like, they talk about contraceptives. I don't really understand contraceptives. I understand that they could be, they're used for medical reasons.
Contraceptive too. Men use contraceptives. The human race has used contraceptives to protect their lives during the sexual encounters. But for women, it is a medical and physical issue.
Yes.
It is something. It is not. We're not putting something over something.
Yeah.
They are doing something completely different there that affects their makeup, their blood.
Yeah. I know it's medical. I know it's.
I'm
medically
not saying
related with them
to you like you don't know it. I'm putting it
yeah.
out there like.
Yeah. I'm trying to say what I was gonna say. Like, it was medically. I know it affects them medically. There's a lot of deeper. It goes real deep for them. It's more complicated for them than for us when it comes to stuff like that, because it's just, they have more to worry about when it comes to sex. They have the
cradle of life.
Yeah, they hold the cradle of life, and there's more repercussions for them than it is for men. Like, that's why there's, people make jokes all the time on the internet, like, oh, hey, like, one day dad's home and he's like, I'm gonna go out for milk, and then he's gone. Like, it's a big joke on TikTok again. Okay, but these are real things that happen. This is what people do.
So bored with TikTok.
But this is what people do. It can be that easy for a man to do shit like that. It can be that easy for a woman after the process is done, but she still had to go through the process. It's not as easy for her. Like, there are stories of the woman abandoning the father, and the father has to raise a kid by himself. That has happened, but it's not the argument, okay? The argument is,
you can see how it's all connected, like a symbiotic relationship.
Yeah, it's all connected, okay? What I'm saying is,
human race.
Yeah, life, human race, we're all affected by this situation. That's why we wanted to give our perspective. But I strongly encourage, do the research, speak to women about it. They know best, because it affects them. This affects them the most. It affects the society in a negative way, in my opinion, but that's just my opinion. If you have an opposite opinion, don't be afraid. If you want to leave an angry hate comment, fine. But
we're not going to go down the long rabbit hole of this issue, like consuming everything that we talk about.
No.
But it's good to have a reaction and good to make comments. Ding a bell, do a thing.
And we wanted to also make it
act.
We wanted to do this because we wanted to make it clear, like, look, people should not be uncomfortable talking about this. People should be talking about this. Men, too, should be talking about this. Men need to enlighten themselves on the issue, and they need to give their perspective as well. But it's more important for men to hear the female perspective on this issue, because that's the reality of the situation. Is women are going through something pretty freaking drastic right now. And the only way that we're really going to truly understand the weight of this situation is if we talk to each other, we communicate with each other. That's why we wanted to make this episode. Not because we wanted to speak like we knew best. We don't know best. We're not experts, and we're not going to speak for women. We're giving a male perspective, but we're ultimately just trying to shine a light on the issue and say, look, you should not be afraid to talk about this. You should not be afraid to talk about any issue. Okay? We are pretty big believers that America right now has too many censors on it. American people right now have too many censors on themselves because they're afraid to say something controversial. And you know what? Fuck that.
Oh.
Yeah.
You said it.
Yeah, fuck that.
Hey.
Fuck that. We should not be afraid to
F-bombs.
speak. If people can, we should not be afraid to speak about stuff. We shouldn't. As people talking to each other, we should not be afraid to speak to each other. We have to hear each other out. And yes, yes, you're going to feel uncomfortable. Yes, you're going to feel angry. Yes, you're going to feel upset. That's inevitable.
That's human.
Exactly. It's inevitable. You're a part of the human race, and you're going to be talking to people who aren't going to see eye to eye to you. They're not going to agree with you, and they're going to say things that you're going to find heinous. But you know what? That's the only way we trudge through and we get the proper outcome to happen is if we have the conversations and we make the arguments and we set the right tone for not just ourselves, okay? Because a lot of people are selfish nowadays. They think about just themselves. No, fuck that. You have to think about the people that are coming after 20, 30, 50 years from now, your children that are going to be birthed and have to walk around this earth. That's why I wanted to.
I'm still worried about tomorrow. Not 20, 30 years from now. I am. I'm worried. But that's why we have these discussions.
Yeah, because it's big. Everything you do affects the future. Okay? Because there's only one direction we go. That's the future. So everything you do now affects the future. Have the conversations. That's my big tangent on why I felt like it was important to make this episode, why I felt it's important for people to be open to conversations like this, and why I'm going to continue to encourage the idea of having conversations like this on this channel and not being afraid of the repercussions of it, because we have to speak. We have to speak. And people have to speak, and we need to hear a lot of perspectives. That doesn't mean my perspective is more right than yours. Maybe I'm completely wrong. I don't think I am at the moment, but
you're not wrong to talk about something that you speak strongly about. And you're not wrong to say why you want to talk about somebody. About something to somebody, to you, to your friend, to your partner.
Yeah.
Listen, everything I've decided to talk about when we have these discussions, it's just I want to enjoy what we're talking about, but it comes from a place of love, and it comes from a place of wanting to be better, to be stronger, and to move forward positively. And this may not be a conversation that inspires love, but it could. It could, and that's why it should be talked about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we spoke about it.
I've said what I've wanted to say.
Yeah. I think we spoke about it. Didn't cover it. Like I said, do the research, speak to women.
Talk. Just talk.
Figure it out.
That's what I think.
Yeah. But next episode will hopefully be a lot more of our usual fun-loving, lighthearted stuff. Let us know what you thought about it.
We're going to talk about light bulbs.
Yeah, maybe we'll talk about light bulbs. Let us know what you think about this episode. Let us know if you just be honest with us. Just be genuine, be honest. Don't be afraid to tell us what you think. And tell us where we made mistakes. We probably made mistakes. We probably, aren't. Tell us where we're wrong. Maybe we're wrong somewhere.
And remember, a comment does have, an anonymous kind of backing to it. So I would still say we're still human. So be careful. Just be careful.
Yeah. I mean,
say what you want. Be yourself.
Yeah. I'm not afraid of some harsh wording. It's it's inevitable. It's going to be inevitable. I've come across.
It doesn't do with
assholes.
fear. This has to do with respect.
No, yeah, I know. I'm just saying. If you don't have respect and you want to be rude, go ahead.
Yeah. We're not gonna take your right away to do that.
But yeah, I've been Satirius D. Limitius.
I'm Joshua Callahan.
We've been the Gentleman's Sit Down. We hope you have a great week. We'll catch you next week. Peace.